Yusei's final boss monster, Shooting QUASAR Dragon, is finally in the game, and we also got a broken skill that summons it. In this free-to-play deck, we are not going to summon it turn 1, because that requires cards like Jet Synchron and Crow Dragon, which are quite expensive cards, so instead we are going to make Trish in our opponent's turn. Before I show you how to do that, let's go through the cards one by one. First off, we have a Junk Synchron. This is our main tuner from our main deck. It summons a level 2 or lower monster from our graveyard when it's normal summoned, but it negates its effects. Next up, we have Doppel Warrior. This can summon itself from your hand when a monster is summoned from the graveyard, and also when this card is used as a synchro material and sent to graveyard, you can summon 2 tokens with level 1. Synchron Explorer, when this card is normal summoned, you can revive a Synchron monster from a graveyard. You usually use this to revive your Junk Synchron to make a level 5 Synchro monster. And finally, for our last monster, we have a Synchron Carrier. During our main phase, you can normal summon a Synchron monster in addition to your normal summon or set. And if another Synchron monster is sent to the graveyard as a Synchro material to summon a Warrior or Machine Synchro monster, you can summon a free token. You won't use this effect very often, but it does come up sometimes, so keep that in mind. For our spells, we are playing 3 copies of Spiritualism because this deck loves going second and OTKing with QUASAR Dragon, so you want to make sure that your opponent won't be able to disrupt you before you make your QUASAR Dragon. Spiritualism is a free-to-obtain spell that removes your opponent's back row, it bounces it back to your hand, and it also cannot be negated. Next up, we have 3 copies of Wordlessly Clash. This card is really good if you're going first to protect your Synchro monsters. A lot of the times you will make your Stardust Dragon during your turn 1, and you can set Wordlessly Clash, and during your opponent's turn, you can use this card to banish your Stardust Dragon temporarily to protect it until your next turn. And finally, we have Magical Mallet. This increases the consistency of drawing our staples and also drawing unsearchable cards like a Doppel Warrior. Finally, for our trap, we have a Point of the Red Lotus. This is a really good free-to-play staple trap. You could play other staple traps if you have them, but I just really like this card because it's so cheap. And for our extra deck, of course, we have a single copy of Shooting QUASAR Dragon. This is our main boss monster. It requires 3 synchro monsters, at least 1 tuner and 2 or more non-tuner synchro monsters. Really hard to summon, but the skill makes it a lot easier. So this card must be synchro summoned, so you can't cheat it out from your extra deck. This card's maximum number of attacks is equal to the number of non-tuners used for its synchro summon. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can negate any effect and destroy the card. And when this card leaves the field, you can special summon Shooting Star Dragon from your extra deck. So notice it says when you can, so it does miss its timing. So it's quite unfortunate. Otherwise, you can use Wordlessly Clash to banish it, but because it misses timing, it won't actually summon the Shooting Star Dragon from your extra deck. Next up, we have the Shooting Star Dragon. You won't summon it regularly, you will always be summoning it using the effect of QUASAR Dragon. But it doesn't actually come up that often because most of the time you will win the game with QUASAR Dragon alone. But in corner cases where it gets removed from the field, we can still have a Shooting Star Dragon on our field. Next up is our second boss monster, is Trishula. It is actually quite easy to summon to our field during our own turn and also our opponent's turn. When this card is synchro summoned, you can banish 1 card in your opponent's hand, field, or graveyard. So even if our opponent doesn't have a target in hand or graveyard or field, you can still banish the other cards from the other places. So you don't have to have all 3 targets all present. As long as one of them is in your opponent's hand or field or graveyard, you can use its effect. And of course, we have Stardust Dragon. We will be summoning it to trigger our skill. We have Shooting Riser Dragon. This is actually pretty useful to summon a copy of Trishula during our opponent's turn. We will show you the combo later. Scarred Warrior. This is actually a key combo piece of the deck because it is a warrior synchro monster, so it works with Synchro Chase, which we get from skill, and also it's level 5 and it's generic, so you can make it off of Junk Synchron and a level 2 monster. Its effect doesn't matter at all, it's just there as a synchro material for your combo. Next up we have Battle Wasp. This is actually only used as a level 5 Synchro tuner, which actually comes up when you want to make a Trishula during your own turn. And you will see how this card is used during the later replays of the video. And also, you won't actually use its effect, it's again used as a material. And lastly, we have SYNCHRON Ametrix. So this card is another level 5 synchro, but it actually has 2500 attack, which means it can be used with the second effect of the skill. Speaking of our skill is really powerful. It has 3 effects, and the skill can be used if you have a level 10 or higher light monster in your extra deck and no monsters other than synchro monsters, and also your main deck has at least 7 level 2 or lower warrior type or machine type monsters. So the 3 effects are: send a synchro monster or a level 2 wind warrior type monster with a 1000 or less attack to your hand to your graveyard, and then you can add a synchro monster from your deck to your hand, and also set a synchro chase, which is really useful because it has an effect that revives one of synchro materials that we use for a synchro summon. Next up, the second effect is send all monsters you control to the graveyard, and if the total original attack is 2500 or more, which SYNCHRON Ametrix is just enough, you can set 2 random Cyno Dragons with different names out of the 4 in the list to our field. And finally, after turn 3, you can return a Stardust from your field or graveyard to the extra deck, and then change all synchro monsters to level 2, and set a Livestream Dragon from outside your deck. So what this allows you to do is, you can have a Stardust Dragon on your field on turn 3, and then you can use your second effect of a skill, send it to a graveyard, get 2 other synchro monsters, and then use a third effect of the skill, return the Stardust Dragon back to the deck, and then summon a Livestream Dragon, and then now you have a Livestream Dragon and 2 level 2 synchros, which you can make QUASAR Dragon with. So here we have the expensive version. We can play Jet Synchron because this card does allow us to summon QUASAR turn 1, which is quite powerful. And tuning to search Synchron tuners. And we can also play staples like Book of Moon and Forbidden Lands to act as disruption and also protect our monsters from our opponent's disruption. You're not playing Trishula in this version, so we can play 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army. And for the extra deck, we're actually playing a package that allows us to special summon a copy of QUASAR Dragon during our first turn. That includes 2 copies of Goyo Defender and a Coral Dragon, which we will use to synchro summon our level 12 QUASAR Dragon. And again, I will show you the combo later. Okay, so let's go over the pros and cons of the deck. 1. This deck is consistent. The skill turns any level 2 Synchrons into Stardust Dragons, and if you do it turn 3, that is a 1-card QUASAR Dragon. This also gives the deck a lot of room for staple back row. 2. Trishula is just insane. It banishes 3 cards without targeting, and you can make it in your turn as well as your opponent's turn, so it is both disruption and a way to push for a game. And 3, playing this deck is just pure dopamine. I mean, it's QUASAR Dragon we're just talking about here. Cons. 1. This deck is one of those decks that loses to a single disruption, so you better hope you draw Spiritualism when you go second. 2. QUASAR is good, but you can only really summon it easily during your third turn. You can summon it turn 1 in the expensive version using a 2-card combo, but it is quite inconsistent, and also you are trading 2 cards plus a discard for a single boss monster with a negate, so it is not that difficult for a lot of meta decks to out. And 3, this isn't really a problem for most players, but the deck can be really difficult both to build and to play. Summoning Stardust is quite easy, but there are so many other possible plays you can make with the skill and the Synchron cards. You can find yourself sitting down, scratching your head all day thinking about what Synchro monsters you can summon. I also fought a really long time on the Trishula combo that we are going to use later. Overall, this deck is quite cool. It makes summoning QUASAR Dragon really easy, and helps you live the Yusei dream. It is also quite decent as well. So this replay shows you what the deck can do going second, and even if we can't summon shooting QUASAR Dragon, the deck still has ways to OTK. Our starting hand isn't particularly good, there is not a single monster, but our draw will help us. First off, we will activate Spiritualism, bouncing back our single backer that our opponent has. We're gonna Magical Mallet and attempt to draw into more monsters, which we do. First off, we're gonna use our skill, grabbing a Synchron Explorer for our next turn, if we even have a next turn. And then we're gonna normal summon Junk Synchron, revive our level 2, summon Doppel Warrior, and make our Battle Wasp. And then Doppel Warrior summon 2 tokens, and we can use every single monster on the field to make Trishula. Trishula will banish 1 card from the field, graveyard, and the hand, which he happens to have. And also, since we banish the King Golem when it's sent to a graveyard, it can't actually use its effect because it left the field, it left the graveyard before resolution. And then we're using a skill second effect, turning our Trishula into 2 synchro monsters, and attacking for a game. Our second game, we are also going second, and this time let's see what we can do. Our starting hand is a little bit better than last time, at least we have 2 monsters, and the Doppel Warrior will really help us when we are going both first and second. That card is not actually searchable, so it is really good that we draw it. Our opponent is playing 6 Samurais, he's gonna make Shi-En, and set 1, pass. We draw Spiritualism, really useful. We're gonna bounce his back row, he's gonna try to negate, but Spiritualism is actually unnegatable. So we're gonna continue on with our combo. We're gonna normal summon Junk Synchron, revive the level 2 that we sent, summon Doppel Warrior from our hand, and then we're gonna make the Battle Wasps again, and Doppel Warrior will summon 2 tokens, and we once again use every single monster for a Trishula. And then we're gonna banish his monster, banish his cards from his hand, we're gonna banish his Duel Wield that we probably bounce with our Spiritualism, and then we're gonna use a skill again, make 2 monsters, and attack for a game. And for our next game, we are actually going first. So we can show how the deck plays when we go first. And we actually draw 2 monsters, which is really nice. We can use one of them as our cost for the skill. And we can normal summon the Junk Synchron that we search, summon back the monster that we pitch, and activate Synchro Chase before we Synchro summon a Scarred Warrior. Synchro Chase will revive one of our tuners, and then we can Synchro summon again for Stardust Dragon. We can't actually make the Trishula during our opponent's turn with our starting hand, but we can still make Stardust Dragon and set Wordlessly Clash to protect it. Our opponent is playing Buster Blader. It's actually pretty smart to play Buster Blader in Platinum, where a lot of players are actually playing QUASAR Dragon, because Buster Blader does negate its effects. And we're gonna use our skill, get 2 synchro monsters, and also get our Lifestream Dragon, and make Shooting Quasar. We're gonna normal summon Explorer. He's gonna try to Karma Cut. We're actually not gonna negate it because we want to negate the trap from his graveyard, which he can make. He's not gonna activate his trap, but we have Wordlessly Clash, which turns his attack to 0, so we can attack for lethal. So this is the expensive version of the deck, and we are going first. So this replay shows how we are going to summon QUASAR Dragon turn 1 using the expensive version. So it's only a 2-card combo plus a discard, so it's not too hard. And our starting hand right now will be able to do it. First off, we're gonna activate Synchro Chase before we summon our copy of Junk Synchron, revive our level 2, and make Scar Warrior. Synchro Chase will actually revive our copy of Synchron Carrier, which will allow us to normal summon Jet Synchron, and then we can make Go Defender, and since we only have Earth Warrior Synchro monsters on our field, we can use its effect to summon another Go Defender. We're gonna revive the Jet Synchron, make the Coral Dragon, and now we have the materials to make Shooting QUASAR Dragon. And Coral Dragon will get us a draw, which we draw into a Forbidden Lands. It's actually a really good draw. And our opponent is playing Dark Magicians. We will negate his Dark and Magical Circle. He sets 1 and passes. We can just attack for game and negate his setback row, but let's see what more we can do before we attack for game. We're gonna Synchro chase back our tuner and make Stardust Dragon again. He's gonna try to activate Magician's Navigation, which we will of course negate. And that's it, we win. Before I end the video, also quick note that I didn't actually summon Trishula in our opponent's turn during any of the replays, so let's go over how we're gonna do it real quickly. So what we're gonna do is, what we need in our hand is a Doppel Warrior and a level 2, like Synchron Explorer or Synchron Carrier. So what we'll do is use our skill, pitch the level 2, get a copy of Junk Synchron's normal summon, revive the level 2, and then since we revived a monster, Doppel Warrior will summon itself from the hand. We use all 3 monsters to make Raizo Dragon. We will not use Raizo's effect, and use Doppel Warrior's effect from the graveyard, which lets us summon 2 tokens. So now we have 2 tokens, which are level 1, and a level 7 Tuner's Synchro monster that has a quick effect to let us Synchro summon during our opponent's turn. So we have 7 + 1 + 1, which is 9, and that allows us to make Trish during our opponent's turn. So yeah, that's it for the video, thanks for watching, goodbye.